Hello and welcome to Formosa Fauna. Which of the following creatures featured in today's episode is illegal to buy and sell for consumption? A. Black bears, B. Mountain hawk eagles, or C. Lionfish? There's only one right answer. Keep listening to Formosa Fauna to find out which and learn more about all of them. Keep listening to learn all about the animal kingdom and become smarter than all of your friends. Every Friday is Formosa Fauna Friday. Hello, I'm Tristan Hildebrand, the voice of Formosa Fauna. I love animals and I love talking about them. If you're even remotely curious about the animal kingdom, you're in the right place. On today's agenda, we're going to talk all about big animal and conservation news, the massive wingspan of Taiwan's biggest raptor species, how to survive an encounter with moose, lionfish, and giving beer to dogs. Of course, also, in addition to that, much more. So let's dive right in. Have you ever been hunting? If so, what did you hunt? Half of my family, my dad's side of the family, is actually really big into hunting. We're from the Midwest, so it's not... Midwest US, that is. So it's not uncommon to see people from our area posing with dead deer for pictures that they then make their main photo on social media, which honestly probably made my dad wonder if he was secretly adopted or something, because he was a huge animal lover. I mentioned in the last episode that if I see any animal out in the wild, I want to be its friend. My dad was like that, but to the next level. If he saw any animal out in the wild, they would instantly become his friend. He even had ducks and pigeons basically follow him around since when he was younger as a kid. I think growing up with him and having him teach me about the world and how to see and interact with nature really shaped who I am today. So I've never understood hunting. Shooting guns at targets, I could understand, but not live animals. So it makes this next story that's been in the international news all the more baffling to me. Florida has approved a proposal to reopen black bear hunting, with the state's Fish and Wildlife Commission voting unanimously in favor. The plan allows hunters to take up to 187 bears through methods such as archery and bait stations, with the use of trailing hounds expected to be permitted starting next year. Florida's black bear population is estimated to be at about 4,000. Black bears are currently at the center of hunting debates in both Florida and California. In California, regulators are reviewing a proposal that would double the number of bears an individual hunter is allowed to take each year. In Florida, this marks the first reopening of bear hunting since 2015, when more than 300 bears were killed in just 2 days, sparking widespread attention. Supporters of the proposals argue they provide a way to manage bear populations and reduce conflicts with people. But opponents point out that bears already face challenges from shrinking habitat, wildfires, drought, and high rates of vehicle collisions. They also raise concerns that increasing hunting quotas could affect family groups, leave cubs vulnerable, and put long-term pressure on the species. Florida's plan has drawn particular scrutiny over its use of hounds and bait stations. Critics say these methods could harm other wildlife, causing trespassing issues on private or protected lands and attract unintended species. There are also concerns that baiting could spread disease, disrupt ecosystems, or even lead to more bear-vehicle collisions. Several studies suggest that hunting is not an effective way to address human-bear conflicts. Researchers have found that community education and better management of attractants, including trash, compost, and bird feeders, tend to be more effective strategies. Meanwhile, on the other side of the United States, in the state of California, we have different animal-related news. The California Assembly has passed a bill aimed at expanding protections against toxic rat poisons, voting 57-12 in favor. The legislation, known as the California Ecosystems Protection Act of 2023, Assembly Bill 1322, was introduced by Assemblymember Laura Friedman and now moves to the state Senate for consideration. The legislation builds on an existing moratorium that restricts the use of second-generation anticoagulant rodenticides. The new measure would add a first-generation anticoagulant to the list of banned substances until regulators adopt stronger rules for their use. Lawmakers backing the bill say the goal is to reduce unintentional poisonings affecting people, pets, and wildlife. Concerns over rodenticides have grown in recent years. The American Association of Poison Control Centers reported that more than 3,000 human cases involving anticoagulant rodenticides in 2021 occurred, including at least 2,300 involving children. Wildlife has also been affected. More than half of the wild animals tested in California show signs of exposure, and in one Santa Monica Mountains study, 39 out of 40 mountain lions tested positive. Anticoagulant rodenticides are used to control rodent populations, but animals that consume poisoned rodents can themselves be harmed, creating a ripple effect through the food chain. Conservation groups warn that this has had serious consequences for predators such as bobcats, owls, hawks, and mountain lions. The Assembly's action comes shortly after the State Department of Pesticide Regulation announced that it would reevaluate the use of this chemical. That review follows a California Court of Appeal ruling that the agency had not adequately considered the chemical's cumulative impact on wildlife. Online in Taiwan, I've seen netizens reporting to other netizens that someone in whatever neighborhood has put out rat poison, which is either directly for or indirectly affecting stray cats and dogs. Again, revisiting the Florida story with the bears, it's generally more effective and safer to treat the root of the problem, not just slap a bandage on it. In this case, proper management of waste, particularly food waste, would really go a long way in keeping the rats at bay. And if a community were to have a problem with rats, in fact, the last thing they want to harm is the cats. Cats are very effective natural demousers. Even the scent of cats can keep rats at bay. When I visited Nantou County in Taiwan for some video projects, I visited a banana plantation. What was special about that particular banana plantation was that it is leopard cat certified. So it goes beyond just being organic. They also have to keep the grass at a certain length and make various other changes that are traditionally seen as making it more difficult for farmers to yield a large harvest, making it all the more impressive. What's funny is that while some farms or plantations will use poisons against rats or other pests, the plantation was able to attract leopard cats by keeping the grass longer, which is good for stalking and catching prey, and not using poisons, keeping the rats away more naturally. While farmers once believed that having longer grasses around the banana trees meant that the unnecessary grasses were sapping the soil's fertilization or the banana tree's nutrient-rich soil, the longer grasses actually serve a purpose by regulating the temperature of the ground throughout the day, making sure the roots of the banana trees don't get too hot or too cold, and in return, yielding a larger or healthier harvest. But that's all said in layman's terms. I may be from a farming state, but I am not a farmer, so forgive me for my lack of expertise. These were all things I found fascinating to learn when I visited, and it has stuck with me over the past few years. Sometimes when we think we're fixing a problem, we're just treating it in a way that works against us in the long run. Did you know that a person's wingspan is about the same as their height? For me, I'm 168 centimeters tall or 5 foot 6 inches, so that would be about a 168 centimeter or 5 foot 6 inch wingspan. What would your approximate wingspan be? Now, compare that to a very large bird called the mountain hawk eagle, which has about a 134 centimeter to 175 centimeter wide wingspan, according to Birds of the World. That's about 53 to 69 inches, largest being about 5'9". If you haven't heard of the mountain hawk eagle before, this might just pique your curiosity. According to a recent study by the Yushan National Park Administration, it's Taiwan's largest resident raptor and also endangered. They estimate only around 170 of these birds live in the park's rugged terrain. One of the park's live streams showing the daily life of a young mountain hawk eagle drew in 150,000 viewers from 19 countries on Instagram. So you could tune in and just see the birds going about their day in way high up in the mountains in Taiwan. Since 2019, a team led by Professor Sun Yuanxun from National Pingtung University of Science and Technology has been deeply immersed in fieldwork from low hills to higher elevations. They've been mapping where these hawk eagles nest, feed, and breed, and it turns out they prefer building nests on steep slopes and high altitudes. It's not just dramatic scenery. This choice gives the chicks a safe, clear view and tends to keep predators far away. And get this, in 2021, the researchers found the first known nest in the park and watched 3 chicks successfully fledge. The team just released a beautiful new book filled with their findings, vibrant photos, detailed illustrations, and insights into the hawk eagle's ecology and cultural importance. It even earned recognition as an excellent publication from the Library of Taiwan Historica. But the project is also about outreach through the form of videos, educational programs, and cross-sector partnerships. They hope that together with the public, Taiwan can safeguard its mountain forests and precious fauna. Moose encounters can be surprisingly dangerous, and here's a lesser-known survival tip about them. If you ever find yourself facing down an aggressive moose, don't try to climb a tree for safety. Moose aren't like bears that might follow you upward, but they can reach surprisingly high with their front legs and will rear up to strike. Instead, the safer move is to put a large object between you and the moose, like a boulder, tree trunk, or even a parked car if you're near a road. Moose have poor depth perception and can lose interest if they can't get a clear line of sight to charge you. Another thing people don't always realize is that in winter, moose are extra defensive because moving through deep snow takes a lot of energy, and in autumn, bulls are especially aggressive during rutting season. What would you do if you saw one on the trail ahead? Sneak around or wait it out? The right call is usually patience. Give the moose plenty of space, avoid eye contact, and let it move away first. It might not sound as dramatic as running, but with animals that can weigh over 1,500 pounds, slow and cautious is often the smartest survival strategy. That is according to the Appalachian Mountain Club. Do you live in an area with moose? The global moose population is estimated to be about 1.5 million. Taiwan is an island that is 70% covered by mountains, lakes, and jungle. Taiwan's early connections to the Pacific and Southeast Asia are well established and are the basis for seeing Taiwan as an ocean nation. Did you know that over 17,000 species thrive in the deep sea where no light penetrates the ocean waves? Or that there are 38,000 different kinds of microbes in just 1 liter of seawater? These were all discoveries made by the Census of Marine Life, a 10-year international effort that assessed the diversity, distribution, and abundance of marine life. Today, you're going to learn all about the lionfish, beautiful, striking, and dangerous all at once. Native to the Indo-Pacific, this fish is instantly recognizable for its bold stripes, feathery fins, and long, venomous spines that fan out like a mane, hence the name lionfish. It almost looks too exotic to be real, which is probably why it often shows up in aquariums and marine documentaries. But there's a twist. While they're mesmerizing to look at, they're also one of the most destructive invasive species in the Atlantic Ocean and Caribbean Sea. In terms of popular culture, lionfish have become a bit of a symbol for invasive species awareness. They've appeared in documentaries on National Geographic and BBC, often portrayed as villains disrupting coral reefs. Aquariums sometimes display them with educational signs warning visitors about their impact on ecosystems. The fish's striking looks also make it popular among hobbyists, though their venomous spines make them tricky to keep and handle safely. Yes, lionfish are also edible. In fact, in recent years, chefs and conservation groups have encouraged people to eat lionfish as a way of controlling their numbers outside their native range. In Florida and the Caribbean, lionfish tacos and lionfish ceviche have become trendy dishes. It is one of those rare cases where eating a species could be good for the environment? ? Of course, the venom is only in the spines, not the flesh. They do require careful handling. They say the meat is delicate, white, and flaky, similar to snapper. Lionfish are typically found in warm tropical waters. In their native Indo-Pacific, they are just one of the many reef predators and don't cause major issues because natural predators tend to keep them in check. But in the Atlantic, Gulf of Mexico, and Caribbean, they've spread rapidly since the 1980s, likely due to aquarium releases. With few natural predators there, they've multiplied at alarming rates, devouring juvenile reef fish and threatening local, delicate coral ecosystems. They're a great example of how a single species, beautiful though it may be, can completely reshape the balance of an environment when introduced where it does not belong. Here's a question for you. How often should you actually wash a pet dog? If you're like most pet owners, the answer is probably whenever they smell bad. But vets say the real answer is a little bit more nuanced. Let me give you 3 choices, and you try to guess which one is the closest to the correct answer. A, once a week. B, once a month. Or C, once every 6 months. Well, most dogs only need a proper bath once every 4 to 6 weeks, which is about once a month. So if you guessed B, you were pretty correct. Bathing too often is actually not great as it can strip away the natural oils in a dog's coat, which keeps their skin healthy and shiny. Just like why people shouldn't wash their hair every day, you can dry it out. Of course, there are exceptions if your pup is rolling around in mud every other day, or if they've got a skin condition that needs medicated shampoo, you might find yourself lathering them up more often. Now, the pros say that brushing your dog regularly is just as important, if not more important, than bathing. A good brush keeps dirt and dander at bay, spreads those natural oils around, and keeps tangles in check. So the next time you're tempted to overbathe, maybe grab the brush first. Your dog and their skin will thank you. Also, proper brushing may allow you to stretch out the time between baths. Some dog owners have traditionally given small amounts of beer to their dogs, often believing that it makes the dog's coat shinier. Veterinarians, however, strongly discourage giving beer or any alcohol product to dogs. Alcohol is toxic to pets, even in small amounts, and can cause a plethora of health issues, including coordination problems, respiratory issues, and worse. If owners are looking to improve their dog's coat, safer and more effective options include balanced nutrition, supplements like omega-3 fatty acids, and regular grooming. Some pet-safe dog beers are on the market, but these are non-alcoholic broths made specifically for dogs. In short, the shiny coat theory doesn't hold up scientifically, and vets agree it's best to keep the real beer for humans only. My inbox is always open if you have something you'd like to share. You can send me an email at tristan@rti.org.tw. That is TRISTAN@rti.org.tw. making it to the end of an episode makes you a Formosa Fauna friend. See you next time for Formosa Fauna Fridays here on Radio Taiwan International.